Ever noticed how certain people just back off around you, not because you're aggressive, but because your calm makes them uncomfortable? Toxic people feed on reaction and chaos, but when they meet someone who won't play their game, that's when the fear kicks in. And the behaviors that intimidate them most aren't loud, they're silent, almost invisible, but psychologically, devastatingly effective. Behavior 1: Emotional non-reactivity. Here's the first one: you don't react to their provocations. Now, you might be thinking, oh, so just ignore them? No, this is way more sophisticated than that. A 2019 study from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who maintain what researchers call emotional stability under provocation trigger a specific type of anxiety in manipulative personalities. The response rate? 73% of individuals with narcissistic traits showed measurable discomfort when their provocations were met with calm indifference. Here's why this works on a neurological level. Toxic people are operating from what's called an external validation loop. Their brain's reward system, specifically the nucleus accumbens, literally lights up when they get a reaction from you. It's the same mechanism as a slot machine. But when you don't react, that dopamine hit never comes, and their brain registers this as a threat to their control. Let me give you a real example. Sarah, a client I worked with, had a coworker who constantly made passive-aggressive comments in meetings. For months, Sarah would defend herself, explain, get visibly frustrated. Classic reaction pattern. Then she tried something different. She simply paused, gave a slight nod, and continued with her point as if nothing happened. Within 2 weeks, the coworker stopped. Why? Because the game wasn't fun anymore. Behavior 2: setting boundaries without over-explaining yourself. The second behavior: you set boundaries without over-explaining yourself. This is where it gets really interesting. Toxic people are master boundary pushers, right? They'll ask why endlessly, demand justification, make you feel like you need to defend your own limits. But here's what the research shows. A 2021 study in Clinical Psychology Review found that over-explanation of personal boundaries actually weakens them by 64%. You know why? Because every explanation is a negotiation point. The neuroscience here is fascinating. When you simply state a boundary, that doesn't work for me, or I'm not available for that, without justification, you're activating what's called the certainty principle in the other person's brain. Their prefrontal cortex is searching for the argument, the loophole, the way in. But when there's nothing to argue against, it creates cognitive dissonance. And for toxic people who rely on manipulation, this is terrifying. Number 3: you're completely comfortable with silence. This one is huge. Most people have no idea how powerful silence is. There's actually research from Harvard Business School in 2020 that found silence in conversation creates what they call discomfort asymmetry. In interactions with manipulative personalities, the person more comfortable with silence holds 83% more perceived power. Here's the thing toxic people do: they fill space with words, drama, stories, accusations, anything to keep you engaged and reactive. But silence? Silence forces them to sit with themselves. And for someone who's built an entire identity around external chaos, that's like psychological kryptonite. Think about it this way. When you ask a manipulative person a direct question and then just wait, no filling the gap, no nervous laughter, no rescuing them from the discomfort, their brain goes into panic mode because they can't control the narrative when you're not feeding them material to work with. Fourth behavior: you judge people by their actions, not their words, and you do it silently. A 2018 study in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology found something remarkable. People who consistently track behavioral patterns rather than verbal promises are 91% more likely to identify manipulative behavior early. But here's the key: you don't announce this, you just observe. Toxic people are often incredibly articulate. They can explain, apologize, promise, justify. It's a verbal smokescreen. But when you stop debating their words and simply watch what they do, When you notice the pattern of broken promises, the gap between what they say and how they behave, and you don't even call it out, you just quietly adjust your expectations and boundaries accordingly, that's terrifying to them because they can't argue with your silence. They can't manipulate your observations. They just see themselves losing influence and they don't even know how to fight it. Number 5, you validate yourself instead of seeking it from them. Now, this is the one that really makes toxic people panic. Research from Stanford University in 2022 found that individuals with strong internal validation systems are what they call manipulation resistant. The percentage? 89% less likely to be effectively manipulated. Here's the neuroscience. Toxic people exploit what's called the social approval network in your brain, the medial prefrontal cortex and ventral striatum. These areas light up when we receive validation from others. Manipulators become experts at controlling this, giving and withdrawing approval to shape your behavior. But when your validation comes from within, when you know your worth isn't up for debate, their primary weapon is gone. It's like they're trying to play a game, but you're literally not even on the same board. And finally, number 6, you control your visibility in their life. This is the most advanced one. A 2020 study in personality and individual differences found that selective availability creates what researchers call scarcity-induced respect. Translation: when you're not always accessible, always available, always engaged, you become unpredictable, and toxic people hate unpredictability. You're not playing games here. You're simply recognizing that your time, energy, and presence are valuable. You respond when it works for you. You engage on your terms, and you don't feel guilty about it. For someone who's used to demanding immediate attention and compliance, this is deeply unsettling. They can't train you, they can't condition you, and that lack of control, it's their worst nightmare. Here's what all of this comes down to. Toxic people fear what they cannot control, and every single one of these behaviors represents a form of personal sovereignty that makes you uncontrollable. The beautiful thing? You don't have to be aggressive. You don't have to fight. You just have to be unshakable in your own sense of self. So start with one. Pick the behavior that resonates most and practice it this week. Watch what happens, because I promise you, the shift will be remarkable. And if this helped you see toxic dynamics in a new way, make sure you subscribe for more psychology breakdowns that actually give you practical tools. Now go be the person toxic people can't figure out.